Well, welcome to the episode 12 edition of the If You Know, You Know podcast. So, first of all, welcome, of course, to our host. It's Southampton's answer to Jeff Probst, Jonathan Lapalia, Matt Chisholm, and Joel Dommett. It is Mike Price. Great to be here. Thanks, guys. Thanks. Thank you, everyone. In the sidecar this week, the snake in the Ruba himself. It's Lenny Greenfield. Did you catch that, Lenny, in the episode?
No, I didn't.
It's a
That's a great
beautiful
quote.
quote. It was this close to me in the episode title. And well, it's a bit of a record for the If You Know You Know podcast this week because I've actually prepared us four guests this week.
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
And
whoa, whoa.
I don't know if you're aware of this, Lenny, but oh wait, hang on. I'm just looking at my notes. There is ah there's a twist, I'm afraid. So sorry, two of you've got to leave. Lucy, Strath, get out of here. Sorry about that, guys. So joining us this week. Oh, what a great bit! I thought of that like 2 minutes ago, and it's fully paid off. Joining us this week as a special guest, we've actually got Survivor Southampton superfan and one of my closest friends, Mary. So welcome, Mary, and also joining us this week, the man who, in my opinion, should not have been voted out this round, potentially should have been voted out 2 rounds ago. It is Ben Roberts. Thank you for joining us, both of you. How is everyone doing? Let's just throw it out there for a second. Say a quick hello. How's everyone? How's
Yeah,
everyone?
I'm very good. Thank you.
I feel like I'm meeting a celebrity. Obviously, Lenny, not Ben, but
Sorry, three celebrities, I think.
no,
Yeah.
no.
Ben, have you got over the disappointment of leaving this episode?
Oh, it was. I mean, I felt it coming for a while. I won't lie to you, Mike. When you say I didn't deserve to go out this episode, I think we all know what you're referring to. And I should have gone out when Billy, sacrificed himself. I will just start by saying in that tribal meeting, I did know it was my name that was everyone was saying. I knew when you asked me, oh, someone's been saved. I 100% knew. I knew it was me. I just for the dramatic effect wanted to
Oh,
make
bless
fun.
you for playing along, because yeah, everyone got a good kick out of that.
Yeah, I came away from that tribal council thinking, is he an idiot? Like, does he not know? Has he avoided that?
Genuinely
Yeah,
concerned. You were the least self-aware man ever in the world.
no. So I did know what was going on. I just think at that point I was so fed up with the same old rituals of things happening where like I would say a name or I wouldn't say a name, and either way, someone else would just get voted out. I felt like I had no influence in any of the like discussions that were going on. I don't know whether I kind of did that myself by not making alliances, but yeah, I was just at that point so done.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely something we can try and track over the course of the game. We can try and figure it out. Mary, can you just introduce yourself to all of the viewers? Tell everyone a little bit about yourself and about how maybe how you're connected to me, for example.
Well, yeah, because I'm in no way connected to Frisbee, to Skunks, or to even Survivor in any way. So, as you say, slight mystery. What the hell I'm doing here? But I've known you since you were 18 and you looked 12. So, and you like to talk about things. You like to be real obsessive, and that sort of rubs off on people. So I guess here I am. But yeah, we've known each other a long, long time. Even though I now live in Belfast, and you still live, well, not in Southampton anymore, but until recently.
Right, so we've got an overseas viewer.
There you go.
Very exciting. Well, our second one actually. The first one was probably Max, and then all the people that he's showing it to in South America. I'm assuming it's
Oh,
really
Paris. Paris was in Norway as well, to be fair.
He was. He was. Well, let's expect it to really take off in what, Norway, Brazil, and then yeah, Northern Ireland.
Not as exotic as Norway and South America, is it really?
I've asked Mary to collate a few stories to cast your mind back to some of the shenanigans we got up to. So that is probably going to be the reason why this podcast will be heavily edited, because I suspect that most of them I will decide are not suitable. So we'll come back to you every now and then for any of those, Mary. Ben, I'm keen to know just quickly how Skunks are doing. You've had what, 1-2 weeks?
Yeah. So we've just we're about coming up to this new tournament that Billy's organised for us called Skunksmouth. It's a beginner tournament, so we've got two of our beginner teams going. I think it'll be it's in Portsmouth. That's why it's called Skunksmouth. 2 of our teams, maybe 1 or 2 of the Portsmouth team. Then we've also got, I think, KCL are bringing a team. There's some Bristol players. We've got various, and we've also got an experienced division. So looking forward to that. We've got some good freshers. Hopefully we dick on Portsmouth and the other teams. Looking to win.
Yeah, no doubt. Just get them afraid for varsity early in the year.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Any plans to do just an experience tournament at any point?
Well, we're going to carry on the old annual Will Jeffrey and what was the other one that was it you who came up with our what's the other
the Spring Showdown?
Spring Showdown. Yeah. So we'll
make that face of the name, Mike. It's a great name.
I would say it's on par with Skunksmouth as a name.
It
was his organisation, so props to him.
Which of our skunk survivors are going to be active?
The teams haven't been released, so some might be the beginners captains or some might be on the experienced team. But I think Isaac, Sock, Lucy, I'm not sure about Big Dog, don't know. But I'll be playing as well. Billy's injured himself, so he'll be TDing probably. And
oh no.
Yeah.
What did he do?
In a Friday session indoors, he ran after a disc and he didn't hit a wall or anything, but he just stopped suddenly and hurt his hip. So I don't know.
That's your neck of the woods, hips, isn't it, Lenny?
Yeah, but I'm fine now, so just do what I did.
Well, you just got to get over it.
Yeah, just spend 2 years injured and then and at some point you'll just sort of be okay.
Yeah, just hang out on the sideline. That's what being present is all about, isn't it, though, Lenny? Just standing on the sideline and
not going to the experience training for 5 months.
I followed in your footsteps if that's what the job is, because I turned up to the session today, Tuesday, and I just stood on the sideline with Billy and we just watched. But I wasn't at the Thursday session last week, so
that's how it should be done.
Start as you mean to go on.
Yeah,
I'm going to a Leeds club session tomorrow. Yeah, because their indoors was cancelled, and I want to go so I can play in the Leeds beginners tournament on this weekend.
What, as a beginner?
No, as an experienced player. Obviously, I'm not trying to sneak into the beginners division, but yeah, I thought I should turn up at least if I want to go on one of the teams.
Yeah, have you met any of the players yet, even?
Well, I've met Isaac's brother.
Yeah, but other than that...
No, I've met a few of them, but I don't know if they'll actually remember me. I'll go in like I pretend that I don't know them.
Because you don't want to remember them if they don't remember you. I respect it.
Yeah, exactly. That's just embarrassing, isn't it? If you go up to someone like you've met and they just have no idea who you are. Can't chance that.
I assume you'll be in full Skunks kit.
Absolutely not. Won't
full
mention
Skunks kit, Skunks hoodie, Skunks trackies.
I'm literally not going to mention that I was at Southampton.
Right, let's turn our attention a little bit more to Survivor. Let's start with Ben because I made more notes for you. Sorry, Mary. Can you tell us a little bit about your previous Survivor knowledge or like know-how leading up to the game?
So I hadn't watched Survivor. I hadn't even heard of it when I got to Southampton, and then I did hear about Survivor Season 1. So I then watched all of that, pretty much binged it maybe a month before Survivor Season 2. So I'd watched all of that. I knew kind of like, I think I knew what people were like. So I sort of tried to come up with my own tactics. But then I think Season 2 was quite different from Season 1. And it's very different, like watching it and playing it. And, most of the challenges were different. So I didn't have any advantage in that regard. I did, obviously this episode, the disc throwing one, that was in Season 1. But there's not much you can do. It's just a pure physical feat. But yeah, like I didn't really know what else to do to prepare. So I hadn't revised any like trivia of frisbee knowledge or anything. But I felt like I came into it kind of a bit more prepared than some of the absolute novices who hadn't even watched Season 1.
Yeah, it sounds like it. What were like the main lessons that you took from Season 1? Were there any like, oh, I want to play like so and so, or oh, here's something to avoid? Obviously, avoid turning up late.
Yes, yeah, that's very clear. Yeah, I think it was just generally like don't irritate or make enemies too early on because it tends to stick. And then but also try and form some alliances. I think I was kind of weak on that though because I don't know, I just got it well, I think I blame our winning streak is when we as part of Merak we just all got caught up in we kept winning, so I didn't form alliances, and I think not many other people in our group did until quite later on. Whereas I think Ruba, because they were put under the pressure, formed sort of alliances within their tribe.
Yeah, Noel raised a similar point last week. Do you think it might be a good tactic in the future, if there's ever a future season, to throw a challenge early, vote someone off, but then you have some allies that you can just kind of stick with from early on, and you feel that bond from early on? Because you didn't go to tribal until like round 5, I think.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that it would be good if you feel like you're just going to keep winning to maybe deliberately throw one so that you can go to tribal, yeah, kick someone out, make some, do some talking to people. Because honestly, when we were, out, not in tribal, we were not discussing any tactics really. We were, as I think Noel said, basically just talking about how we'd parade in. That was most of what we were discussing.
Mm. I think it was worth it though. I found it very funny each time. I was excited to see what you come up with next. I'm not sure if Lenny would agree.
I was rattled. I was absolutely I was hating it. But started challenge 5 when they're walking out, and I think if we lost that one out, my head would have been on Mars.
Mary, what's your take on this? Do you think just trying to piss off the opposition is? Do you think it's smart in the sense that like it might make them continue to lose, like they'll lose their heads, or it might then just make them angry at you, and then it might bite you in the future?
I think if you weren't strategizing at all, then that's like style over substance, isn't it?
Yeah.
Obviously.
So Lenny, I'm keen to know who in particular on Merak, because we thought that Ben was getting the brunt of it in the Billy exit episode because just by the fact that everyone else was immune. But was it like Ben in particular, or was it like, oh, it could have been any of Ben, Strath, Noel? Who were you most annoyed with?
Probably, yeah. You'd say the 4 sort of ringleaders would be Ben, Noel, Strath, Max Beline. Obviously, Max went out, and I actually don't have it in my heart to ever be annoyed at Max, so he gets a free pass. But yeah, the other 3, yeah, I think Strath sort of getting voted out and coming over to our side probably helped him out quite a bit there. And then, well, the other 2, they're both gone, so you could call it a mistake. But if I was in their position, I'd probably do something very similar because it's just fun to piss off the other team, isn't it?
I feel like you had a lot of players on Ruba that you could aggravate, and mainly Will. Mainly Will. I think we'll probably chat about the pre-merge for a little bit. So, Mary, throw us out some takes just from the pre-merge specifically. Were there any like episodes or any moments that you were a big fan of? Any players that you were wanting to make it through? What was your opinion of the pre-merge in general?
Okay, what comes to mind? I thought I was going to cry when they voted out Lucy.
Big
Like,
fan favorite. That's what we've heard so
yeah,
far.
big love for Lucy. That was hard to take. What perversely I did enjoy was, I think it was the start of episode 7. It was after Will got booted, and you had like a black and white edit showing that he in no way ever even slightly had a chance.
Oh yeah, that was necessary because I think that was the most obvious boot. So I couldn't have it in the episode, but I had to kind of show how it went down.
Okay, but then you made it pretty obvious when it was Noel, disrespectfully.
Lenny and Ben, what do you think about this? Because I thought I made it quite ambiguous, and that's kind of like my job as the editor to make it a little bit less clear. But like the Novo was, there was a chance it wasn't going to be him. It felt like that at the time, like there was a chance he might escape from it. Was it obvious watching back? And I know you guys knew what was going to happen anyway, but was it clear watching back that he was obviously screwed?
No, I think Mike, you did a good job of making it ambiguous because I distinctly remember at the time I was gunning so hard for Noel that round, and when I got to tribal, I was pretty confident it was going to be a set and done. He was gone. But I think you made it look more 50-50 than it actually was in real life.
Okay.
So it's actually in real life even more skewed. Okay, all right.
Yeah, I think the Noel one I felt like he was going, but I knew there were some people that would stick with him. I didn't realise until I watched it back that he'd flipped Will, I assumed that it was Sock that stuck with him, and we'll definitely be getting into Sock's gameplay in this episode, because there's a lot of comments, particularly in this episode. But yeah, well, from Ben and Lenny's point of view, obviously, as we're saying, I try and make it look as close as possible. From watching back all of the episodes so far, or the votes that you're involved in, were there any that you're watching back and it's just like, oh, this was a complete blowout? Like, there's no way it was even close. Like, it was obviously Zhao or Faris or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to sound incredibly cocky, but basically all of the ones so far, I was probably at the time quite confident of what was going to happen. Probably more so than the video makes out.
I think the video makes you look plenty confident.
Yeah, I'd say even more confident than the video. Like, I think up until this point, basically, yeah, it was very nice. All the tribal councils just sort of sat there. No one was, well, apart from the first vote, because obviously, yeah, Mike just did a stupid twist.
That was great. If it wasn't for that, we lose Lucy episode 1, and then it's
well, that's true. That would be a shame.
Ben, how about the Merak tribal councils? I guess the Strath one, did that seem less clear?
I don't remember that one so distinctly, so maybe it was at the time less a clear one. But I think Lenny's right. In general, people tended to be quite confident by the time we'd sort of start discussing it in the room. I think by then people could sense the vibe of who was gone or not. That's there. Yeah, I don't remember that exact when Strath went, but I think I probably would have known the way it was going.
So in the Strath vote round, I think it was a 3-2-2, or maybe a 4-2. No, it's a 4-2-2. I believe you vote for Noel that round, Ben. I think you and Holly are the votes on Noel in that round.
Yeah, because the next round, Noel exposes him for voting for him.
Yeah, tell us about your gameplay on Merak, Ben. Did you have like any targets in particular? Anyone you were gunning for? The edit suggests that you were gunning for Noel a lot, but obviously like Zhao leaves first. What do you remember from your time on Merak?
I think probably from season 1, I was very wary of Noel because he was just showed he's quite a strong competitor. I just don't trust him. Fundamentally, don't trust the man. Whereas Strath, I could see was going to be a threat, but I could trust a little bit more than Noel. So yeah, very much in the early stages of our tribal councils, I was very much thinking, I don't want anything to do with Noel. And I'll try and see whether maybe Billy, maybe Holly, maybe Strath want to sort of vote the same way, and then see if an alliance kind of forms through that. But it was all like every time I sort of thought it was going the way I could predict, Sock would usually just throw a spanner in the works and say something random, or just kind of like there was so much. It's so chaotic. It's way more chaotic than I could ever have predicted when I sort of imagined what it would be like playing.
It seemed like you kind of had it figured out though by the max vote, because at that point you get together with Holly and Billy. Like, this is the round just after you voted for Noel. He's played as idol, but you've realised that it was only you and Holly that had voted for him anyway. Noel, Oscar, Billy, and Sock all get together and vote out Strath. So then you get together with Holly and Billy, and you're just like, all right, if the three of us all just vote together, then we just can't be voted out. And it was like you'd suddenly figured out the game, and it was a beautiful moment. And yeah, I think you were arguably player of the episode in that one.
Yeah,
is that when it all came together?
Yeah, I remember feeling way more confident when I had those guys kind of reinforcing what I was thinking, and it was like that was the one where Max was voted out, right? Yeah, was it Max who had put my name in the previous round?
Max and Strath had both voted for you in the previous round.
Yeah, because I was trying to pinpoint where my sort of downfall began, and I would say, as much as Lenny has mentioned before that the parading of Merak has generally been, an annoyance of the Reds versus the Blues, I think maybe I was kind of a catalyst for that, in that, they just needed someone to pin all their annoyances, and eventually it culminated in me. But I think Max very much I would say was the instigator of my downfall, by just putting my name out there, spelling my name wrong as well. I will not get over that.
Sorry, spelled Ben wrong.
Well, he called me Benjamin, and my name is Ben. It's Ben in its entirety, and he called me Benjamin. So I very clearly knew basically who had voted for me just in that by itself, which was why, I then, I think, strongly advocated for Max to go after. But I think once your name's out there, it's very tricky to sort of get everyone more relaxed about you in the game. Like once someone's thrown a name out, it's very easy to just go, let's go again, let's vote that person out. And I think I then got votes. I can't remember whether I got votes in every of our tribals after that, but I think that's where I would sort of pinpoint the downfall. So as much as I thought I'd had a handle on that game when I got Max out, I kind of realized after that it was going to be tricky to keep my neck off the chopping block.
Mary, give us your take on the Merak tribe going into the merge. Like, if you were in that Merak tribe, okay, let's just say that it's you plus everyone that's already in there. Okay, so you're not replacing anyone. Who are you voting off in order to have a group that's going to be cohesive going into the merge?
Cohesive?
If you want a group that's... Yeah, all right.
But that's not to say that in real life I don't want him to still be here, because without him, where are we getting our fun quotes from? You know, the man's, you know, say what you want, he's really providing a service. The bonds between Rupert, that was formed in the crucible of losing over and over again. And I just don't think there's a way to make up for that went on over with Merak at all.
You've got a player like Billy in there who, and a lot of them were aware that he was going to have to leave post-merge. If you're a player like, let's say you're in like the null position, so you're someone you've got an idol in the pre-merge, like maybe you've got a lot of influence in that tribe. Are you trying to take out a Billy, or are you wanting to keep him in order for him to just leave in the future?
I think you'd want out someone else, right? Okay. I think you'd want out someone that's like threatening, keep Billy around, who can't harm you, but I don't know.
But like, he can't harm you, but then he's going to leave anyway, so then you're going to be losing a number at the merge.
This is true, but then, as you say, after the merge, maybe it's less about that. Maybe it's not. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess you're gambling on being able to form an alliance with the other tribe, which is, I think, what Noel himself was going for. Ben, what were your thoughts coming into the merge? Were you like, oh, it'd be great if I can kind of ditch the blues, or were you thinking of like maybe sticking with Holly? What was going through your mind at that point?
Oh, I was a bit conflicted because I think I knew the blues didn't. I could feel the animosity coming off them. And I thought, I can't remember when I'd sort of agreed with Lucy some kind of deal not to vote for her, but I did think I'd forgotten that until she then said she was going to vote for me or something. But I was a strong advocate before the merge for us blues sticking together, and just like, we had the numbers coming into after the merge, right? It was 6-on-5. I think
it was 7-6, but that 7 includes Strath.
Yeah, that's right. But exactly, yeah, Strath was immediately trying to make ties with the Reds. So I could see my kind of ideal, let's all just vote off the Reds, wasn't going to work. I did try and sort of alliance with Billy and Holly. I think Noel said in his interview that tactically it would have been better for me to not vote out him and keep him in the game, because he's a bigger target. But I think it's a double-edged blade keeping Noel in the game, and I wasn't willing to work with him because I will just say I've got to get this off. My least favorite player in the game so far has been Oscar, because I don't know how this man has made it this far. He has just sidled up to Noel from the get-go and has lived in that man's shadow. I mean, Oscar, if you're watching this, personally, you're a great guy. Don't care. But in this game, I could not have played against a more frustrating, I would say cowardly player. And I've just like, there was one tribal count. No, where just before the tribal count even, there was one discussion round where I think I go over to, I think maybe it's Sock and Oscar, and I'm like, right, I'd really like to vote off Noel. And Oscar's just like, no, we're not doing that. I was like, you're pathetic. Like, if your only allegiance is to one man, who's going to carry you through the game, you're not going to win, because even if it gets down to you two in the end, everyone will go, this man has done nothing. The other player has carried them entirely. Even if it would be funny to vote for him, we're still going to vote for Noel. Like, I can understand that it's a gameplay tactic to get him to later in the game, but he is ridiculously loyal to a fault and it irritates me.
For a player like Oscar, and this is kind of what we were questioning in season one, how big of a threat was Oscar seen from your perspective? Because surely it would make sense for if Oscar is seen as a big threat. He did go far in season one. He did make it almost all the way to the end off the back of essentially doing that tactic just with Lenny in season one. If he is seen as a big threat, if he brings another big threat in deep into the game with him, everyone's going to be gunning for Noel over Oscar. And it did happen that way. It just happened a lot maybe earlier than Oscar would have expected. But would that not be a smart strategy for him? I mean, obviously assuming that Noel gets taken out before the end.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it has some merits, but I just as a tactic, I just hate it fundamentally. It just it just irks me that even if it works, it just seems like you're taking the lazy way of the getting further in the game. Like
I think it's sort of not a winning strategy, is it, in that way?
Exactly. It can take you far, but then you've got to change up your game at some point and probably stab them back.
It definitely relies on you then being able to, get rid of the player that you're sticking to.
Even if Oscar was just float to the end, like if Noel went out near the end and Oscar somehow made the final with that strategy, would you want to vote for someone who's just sat behind Noel for 16 rounds?
If Oscar was the reason that Noel goes out, then I think that is then worthy of rewarding. What do you reckon on this, Mary?
That'll be pretty epic backstabbing, and I would dearly love to see it. But also, I think, through the power of television, actually, what you see is him being like pretty good at the challenges and then being endearingly humble about it. Like I've liked him. I've got no beef. Ben's all on his own over with that one, I think.
I mean, Oscar is just a lovely man. That's not for the cameras. That's just Oscar 100% of the time.
Yeah. No, I 100% back that. He is a lovely man, but the tactics were just unbearable for me to sit through.
Cowardly.
I think it's a very good tactic for the game if he was planning to get rid of Noel later on in the game, or if he was assuming that Noel was going to be like his meat shield into the merge. Obviously, it does make things a lot more difficult, and it's what we were saying earlier on in the game when I think it was Holly was choosing whether or not to trust Oscar or not. We were saying that Oscar is a great ally, and like Divya was even saying it in this episode, like Oscar is a great ally, but only if he is your ally. Like if he's working with someone else, it doesn't matter how loyal he is. Like he's still working against you. So I think maybe what you have to do is you have to identify that early, and then you maybe just need to go for that player. But was his social game so good in Merak, Ben, that it was just impossible? Because we rarely heard Oscar's name come up.
I think the way it worked is that he kept his head under the parapets. Like he didn't ever stick his neck out. Like he didn't throw names around, which then maybe makes him seem like he's not a threat. But he really did just kind of, I would say, hide behind Noel and let Noel do the talking for him, and then just follow.
So Oscar is now, he's Noel-less. Okay, so in this round we didn't really see him get too close to anyone. We saw him chatting with Lenny and Sock a little bit. I'll go to you, Mary, from a fan perspective, having seen the season so far. Who's Oscar's next? Who's his next Noel? Does he go back to Lenny like in season one?
I'm worried he's going to go to Sock, but maybe not. I don't know. I think that would be stupid. I would enjoy watching it.
Is Sock a player that you can do that with, though? Because I feel like he's too kind of frantic and just constantly changing his mind. I feel like you have to have someone a bit more sturdy.
To me, it might depend where Will shakes out further down the line now that Noel is gone.
That's true. Lenny, could you see that? Could you see Will just falling into that role that Noel had, and Oscar can then go to him?
Yeah, I think Will's seems at the moment to sort of be with the Reds, but at the same time, you saw in that episode they weren't really fully agreeing on what to do. So I could see him wanting to pick up new friends.
Ben, I was wondering if you had a take on why you were such a target at the merge. And we touched on it in our Billy exit interview. Obviously, there weren't that many Blues that were up for elimination that time.
I think part of our whole problem as the Blue Tribe in general was we did all the parading stuff. I think I then personally made it more about, maybe more felt like it was coming from me, because Lenny identified me as one of the sort of 4 ringleaders. I think I can remember an inciting incident where I think it was on the tug of war challenge. Oh no, maybe it was the disc jousting. I think I think I made a point of making fun of Lenny shaking, and I fully I knew, I will admit, I knew beforehand that Lenny's hands shake from time to time, and I thought it would be funny to make a joke of that. But I think maybe other people didn't know that I knew, or they knew anyway. I think that came across poorly.
I was just trying to make you feel uncomfortable. I won't lie.
No, but it worked exactly. Like I think it made everybody go, "Oh yeah, no, that was a bit uncalled for." So I think maybe that, not exactly my finest moment, and perhaps maybe I was too buoyed up by the spirit of winning as a group, and actually kind of stuck my own neck out too far. And yeah, I think that was probably maybe again where I've made a target of myself. People then kind of, maybe not even consciously, maybe it's just kind of subconsciously, they go, oh, Ben's been like really riling us up. Let's get his name down. So yeah, I think when Noel was throwing it around, people were just happy to hear it. They were like, oh yeah, that'll be a good guy to be gone.
Yeah, Lenny, did that seem fair to you? Would you felt any reticence about putting Ben's name down at the time?
No. Sorry.
Was it easy pickings because people in Merak already kind of wanted him gone?
Yeah, that too. Like it just seemed like it's a name you can. Sometimes it's unlucky that. Again, it could just come from his name being out there in the sort of max vote. He got votes in the tribal. Did he get votes in the tribal that we were at as well? I can't remember which one we were at.
Yes, you were at the Strath vote, and that was a 422.
So like we know his name's like vaguely out there. You want to just stay in that first round in the merge. Yeah, I think it's just an awkward, unfortunate position to be in.
Ben, I'm very keen to know what your take was on the merge episode. That is when we see Lenny comes over with the strategy of just talking to the person that's about to go home to kind of stop them from being able to go and strategize. What do you think about that watching back as a strategy? Like, do you think is that a great call, or at the time were you just like, do you know what, Lenny, what a guy?
No, I at the time, I think I was aware that he was, playing for time and distracting me. But again, it was that round where I was just kind of like, I don't care anymore. I did remember thinking, you know what, like, fair play to you. Let's just have a conversation. I'll just while away the hours as well. Like sometimes you don't want to talk about tactics. Sometimes actually I think, yeah, it would be quite relieving to have someone come over and talk to you about anything but Survivor. And it would definitely, if I wasn't aware that it was my name, like I think in that round, I could tell that my name was being thrown around anyway, but for whatever reason, I wasn't trying to fight it. But if someone wasn't aware, God, yeah, absolutely. I love that tactic. I want to see it more.
Mary, if you're in the Ben spot in the episode where Billy ends up leaving, okay, it seemed like everyone's just happy to get rid of Ben. Like the rest of his tribe, who arguably should have been protecting him, aren't really doing that. All of the Reds are just wanting to stick together and are gunning straight for him. If you're Ben in that position, like what can you do to try and keep yourself in the game?
Well, okay, people watching this don't know me, so now I can pretend that I'm not also like Ben, a quitter. But in reality, yeah, I think I too would have just like ceded defeat, and it was really sad to watch. So I was like, I would have wanted to see you try even a little bit, even slightly.
Does it get to a point with Lenny where like there's nothing you can do? Like maybe all of the stuff that Ben could have done was like earlier on in the game. Maybe it was just as a result of the people that had happened to have been voted off by that point. And like Holly had that dinner with Big Dog, and Holly seemed to be Ben's best ally at the point. So she's already kind of off doing her own thing. Billy's obviously going to leave, and it's really between Ben and Billy, and they all know Billy's going. Like was there literally anything he could have done there?
I'd say you don't know unless you properly give it a go. I feel like, even if it looks dire, I feel like a lot of situations you can find a way out, or you start throwing someone else's name out there. You get a conversation about like, so I don't know who else was not immune. That you get like Big Dog's name out there, talk him up as a huge threat, try and get him out of the game. Or if you're going to go out anyway, you might as well go down swinging punches.
Yeah, I think looking back, I agree. I feel like I could have done at least, throw out a name and try and put some weight behind it. Just like you say, even if you're going to go out, then set up them to be out next round and curse you.
Ruin someone else's game. Why not?
Yeah.
If you're going out.
I mean, honestly, I think Oscar was probably immune that round, but that would have been a prime case for me to just absolutely blaze into the man.
We came up with a suggestion a couple of weeks ago on the podcast with Billy, Lenny. Do you remember? We thought that maybe the one person that Ben could have thrown out was Will. Ben, do you reckon that you could have got anything behind a Will that round?
If it was Will, and I'd really just emphasised, it would be so jokes that he's got back in and he's just going to go straight back out again. Like, come on, guys, everyone wins then. I really think to get the ball rolling. Yeah.
The thought of Will's annoyance of being thrown straight back out is genuinely so fantastic.
Yeah.
Mary, as a viewer, would you have found that really funny to see Will just getting really rattled again?
It would have been ugly. Yeah. And I would have, if you'd said that, I would have yeah, fair enough, we'll vote for that. Like, 'cause it'd be funny. Like, he'd be furious. And then, even if it doesn't work out, at least it was, an effort, an attempt was made.
Still on the Billy episode, Ben, I was wondering, you say at the start, and you have for a while been called the nice guy of Skunks. Are you too much of a nice guy for the game? Like, were you afraid, like, you just didn't want to throw any names out?
Like I had my grievances against people in the game, but I guess I didn't really voice them at the time. And now, it's all coming out now, but it really would have been better maybe at the time to have been a little bit more, outspoken and just say a name and see if people stick with it. I think to
be fair to you, all the people that you could have had grievances with, Noel, Oscar, Strath, were all immune. So at that point, you're picking someone that you haven't played any of the game with yet at all.
Yeah, I think that exactly the timing of it was probably not ideal for when I would want to have sort of started kicking into action. But yeah, I think it's true that I kind of came into it. I think I remember maybe in the prelude when I was sort of introducing myself to the game, I think I was saying that my broader game tactic would just be to be friends with everyone and to not have any alliances as a specific, like, me and one person, just to have it be like a whole group of people who I'm sort of maybe sort of shady dealing, like having one deal with another person that contradicts another one. But in the end, I didn't really ever do that. I didn't really take that level of my game. I didn't really progress it. I remember in the very, very first episode, me and Lenny were paired up, and I kind of joked with him about maybe later on in the episode, in the day, being if we ever had to vote against each other, we'd not, and something coming out of that. But I totally abandoned that. Really, I didn't really do what I said I was going to do enough. I think I didn't form, like, people had no reason not to vote me out, really, which is why when my name came up, everyone was just kind of like, yeah, sure, fair enough.
As irritating as you say the Oscar strategy is, like, it would have been great if you had someone like that for you as well. Like, if you and Holly had that, for example.
I think the thing with me and Holly is that I trusted her going into it and she trusted me going into it. Like, as a tribe, there was the general tribe, like, trust in each other, and that kind of fractured quite early on. But with me and Holly, I think we just sort of, we're friends outside of Survivor, and we get on quite well. So we had just sort of like a trust that was a foundation of trust, maybe. But I didn't work on it to, like, make it into a proper fully fledged alliance. She didn't really work on it with me. So yeah, I think if we had actually paired up properly earlier on, I think it could have done more damage to other alliances and other people. But we didn't get it started, so it never happened.
I've got a question.
Oh yeah.
Just off the talking about Noel and Oscar, do you think Noel would make it through to the merge if Oscar wasn't playing the role he was on Noel's side?
Ooh, I think that's a tough one, because it's very easy to overlook the role that Oscar plays in their dynamic. I think it's right that you want to question it and actually say, Oscar did actually work for Noel maybe more than Noel worked for Oscar. Because yeah, like it was very effective when I would try and bring up Noel's name in that one discussion. I do remember it kind of being, because Oscar was so shut down about it, it gets in the whole of everyone's heads. Like if that one person is being so vocal about not voting a single person, everyone gets the impression that that's what everyone else has been told, that's what everyone else is thinking. It's quite a powerful crowd control to just have one person saying no, we're not going to do it. And I think another thing that I was kind of looking back on the game and thinking about was that Oscar seemed to just talk to a lot of people in the discussions. And I don't know how that happened, because every time that I watched an episode, I seemed to talk to maybe 3 or 4 people. I never seemed to talk to everyone in the tribal, but Oscar seemed to have talked to literally everyone and always had said, no, we're not voting out Noel, especially early on. So I think maybe if those few times, well, no, Noel was not immune quite a few times when we were early on in the game. And I think, if Oscar hadn't been playing that role, I think it's probably likely Noel would have, been voted out before the merge.
I think that's a very interesting point. What do you think about this, Lenny, then? Is it a good strategy? Do you want to be the person in the strategy sessions that's always moving between groups? Or is it better to be the Ben that's talking to like a few people, but maybe a lot, so like you're able to gauge a lot of what they're saying? Or do you want to be the guy jumping in and out of conversations the whole time?
I don't know. I feel like you want to sort of be in an alliance where you're doing a bit of both, right? Where because you want to know what everyone else is thinking. So ideally you have someone floating around can sort of absorb the other plans and then feed it back to the rest of your alliance. But I don't know. I like to be in different groups. I like to get into groups to sort of disrupt them as well. And like, if you see a bunch of people on the other that you're not aligned with all talking, get in there, stop their plans.
Yeah, I guess the advantage is that if you are an Oscar and a Noel, then there's 2 of you. That means that you don't even have to be in the same conversations. Like you've got eyes on pretty much 2/3 of everything that's happening the whole way.
That's what was happening a lot in the Merak tribal councils, wasn't it? Where Noel wouldn't be there, but Oscar would be there, just shutting it down. And like it's like, well, yeah, 6 of the people are now talking about not voting for Noel and voting for someone else, and it just makes it so much harder to sort of gather that momentum to get someone off.
He was so decisive. He wasn't leaving room to like be talked out of it at all, ever. I think, as you say.
And yeah, what can you do against that?
Yeah.
All right, Ben, do you think that it held you back, the fact that potentially you were like more of a junior member of the club? You'd only been there a year at this point. Like you didn't know these people necessarily as well, or like at least there's other people that are just older. Like you got Strath and Noel who been around for years, but like, or maybe it's the fact that these guys know each other potentially a bit better. Do you felt like that held you back a bit?
I did. That was definitely something I was very worried about coming into the game. I very much felt like a junior player. I remember even thinking to myself, God, I hope I don't Sorensen myself and just do something that makes everyone want to vote you out. And I did think kind of, that everyone else sort of had more existing friendships. Like I said, I was friends with Holly from outside Survivor, but I think there were so many other connections that people could have used. So I knew, like Lenny and Noel go way back. I know Oscar was also friends with Noel. Like I could kind of see where other people would have easy alliances with whoever was kind of like coming into the game, and I did think I would be weaker. And that was definitely something I was worried about. Yeah.
Mary, do you have any takes on anything else in the pre-merge? Anything leading up to this episode that we haven't covered yet? Anything you want to shout out? Anything you want to put out there? Any shade you want to throw on any of the cast?
Well, I mean, I want to talk slightly about the redemption, if you don't mind.
Oh, yeah.
Number one, okay, I think Sock went in to just bully Will for a little bit. And that was beautiful. That was, I think, the best moment of my life. But mainly, again, like it was disappointing to see Max give up. Like, we're back on this. I don't like quitters. I can quit. Other people will have to keep going. That's how that goes. But it was like, I mean, he did come back eventually. He did give it a go, but it was sad to see him just call it a day when clearly Alfie was never going to finish counting the balloons, not in a million years.
He was so close. He was only one away, and I gave Archie such a hard time for his counting, but Max actually lay down at one point. Yeah, it was that was upsetting, especially because like he would have been like a big player to have come back in the game, like someone else that got blindsided. I'm sure someone else to be coming after Ben as well, just another person to add to that list. In fact, I think I remember him saying in his exit confessional that he was going to come back in specifically to get rid of Ben.
Yeah.
Well, go on then, Mary. I feel like the fans are all wanting to know. They're wanting to know more about a little bit about the host. So if you've got any stories just to throw out there, I'm sure
Okay.
I'll be happy to cut it out later.
Yeah, this is the thing, because like I can't say anything mean because it will get cut out, as you say. So all I can do is, I don't know, give a little ego massage here. Is that what this is?
Oh no, no, this isn't what this is about. Oh, go ahead, Lenny.
If you do see something mean, even if it doesn't make the episode, I will make sure to retell it as much as I can.
I'm co-president of Skunks now. Absolutely everyone in Skunks will hear about whatever you say.
Okay.
all the poor new freshers joining, they're going to be like, there's this guy who was here for like 9-10 years, and here's a story about him.
All right. We'll start with the meme one then. I mean, and this is, as you say, a long time ago, but he fancied himself quite the big man, bragged about it, called himself One Punch for 3 weeks for breaking down a door.
No, it was one kick actually.
Fuck off. For breaking down a door that had like the structural integrity of cardboard. And for the record, right, when I was at your parents' house one time, I broke a door with zero effort whatsoever also. And I didn't brag about that. I was deeply embarrassed.
Yeah, but that door wasn't supposed to get broken. This door was supposed to be kicked in. It was. I won't say too much more about the story, but I don't want to brag too much. But this door required to be kicked in, and old Mikey was given the task, and I did it in one kick. It was one of the coolest things I've ever done. I'm not going to lie. Like we needed to get in that room, and there was like I booted it, and like I kicked it near the lock. Like it was a smart, and like there was like plaster that came off the wall. It was so badass. It was like it was coming down, and then I just like step into the room, and I'm just like, there we go. It was quite a serious situation at the time, but like for the rest of the day, I was just thinking that's one of the coolest things I've ever done.
So you had to save the bragging for later, and you did. You really went in on that quite hard, I would say.
Yeah, that was definitely a big moment for me. I was big fan of that.
I actually broke out a door yesterday.
Yeah,
I got locked in my own bathroom yesterday morning, and I had to I unscrewed this sort of handle thing off of the door. I used one of the screws to unscrew the other screws. It was very cool, and then I just kept yanking it until the door opened.
Was it a pull or a push door?
It was a pull door.
Oh yeah, that's a tough one actually.
And then my landlady came round, and then they were like checking that it was like fixed or still working. And then she got locked in the bathroom for like half an hour.
What, did you just leave her?
Yeah, well, I just went straight to uni after I got out, but
right, okay.
Obviously I told them about the door, so they came around after.
Okay.
Where's Ben going? That's what I want to know.
He's on the move.
My house just had a power cut, but we're back. So sorry.
Okay. Well, good.
The
Wi-Fi cut first, and then well, maybe I'll cut out again. But I'm on mobile data at the moment, and the lights might go again.
Oh, what a hero!
Oh, there we go.
Oh no!
Oh, I'm not touching anything. This is just genuinely the lights.
Is it not like the power switch is getting tripped or something?
Well, yeah, my housemates are currently flipping the fucking breakers.
Right. All right, fair enough.
Well, the people that act like they know how those work, just faking it, right? Nobody actually knows how those work. Right?
You just flick them all to on. Is that not the?
You turn it off and on again.
Ben's an engineer, so he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah. No, but well, I mean, maybe mains power is on a ring. So theoretically, if one of them short circuits or breaks, then the rest of them should be fine. But the breaker turns the whole ring on and off. There's a bit of knowledge.
There you go.
Can we in the edit make it look like I understood that?
If you want to say it now, then I'll make it look like that you answered your own question.
Nah, it's not the truth, is it? We got to stay humble, you know.
Well, I mean, speaking of things that weren't true, I can't believe you're about to tell that story about how I punched a door open in a single punch. I should have just let that slide.
I wasn't there.
I don't know what's if Ben's okay. I'm happy to if you need a minute to sort out.
Give me like 5 minutes and I'll double check that the house is alive.
Yeah, if you want to dip for a couple of minutes, I'll just get Mary to tell more fun stories about me doing cool things. I didn't realise that those were coming. All right, what are the shenanigans of has the Survivor host been up to, Mary?
Okay, so remind me, did you ever live with Lenny? Lenny, did you ever live with Mike?
I did, yeah.
He did. Did he still eat dinner with no shirt on?
Possibly sometimes. I feel like a lot of the time he'd be getting back from the lab, so would have his shirt on. Oh, one thing about his dinner was that he'd buy the ready meal lasagna from Sainsbury's because it's the only one that you don't have to like stir halfway through.
This is such a great tip for anyone out there. The tactic is because there's so many. There's like your spaghetti bolognese and like your carbonaras, all that kind of thing. But the lasagna is the one thing that you don't have to take out halfway through, peel back the film, and it's, oh god, it's all no, I burnt my fingers, and you have to stir it for like a minute, then you have to put it back in. A lasagna though, you stick in for like 6 minutes, shut the door, and then it's fine. You don't have to do anything to it, and that's my little tip. Actually, no, don't all do it because then there won't be any lasagnas for me to get. Although I'm not in Southampton anymore, so doesn't really matter to me. But
they have to come to Oxford and buy lasagna.
That's a little tip for everyone out there.
But yeah, you would have a plate of pasta so mounded and so piled up high that it was falling off the sides. Yeah, you'd have this massive plate of pasta, 4 portions worth, I would argue. Okay, you take off your shirt, you'd sit down at the table by yourself. You'd get about a quarter of the way through and you'd be lying on the sofa just like groaning, unable to move. And you'd wait about 20 minutes and then you'd go back and keep going, and the whole process would take an hour and a half.
Yeah, those are good times. I think I probably did less when I lived with you, Lenny, because I was probably just getting back later a lot.
Yeah, I mean, you cook the pasta sauce every now and then, but
I remember doing that. Didn't you have some really weird thing to measure out your pasta? I'm just making it up.
Spaghetti, like with the little holes in it.
Yeah, I swear someone did. Maybe that was a different.
I didn't. I bought, or maybe we had a scale. I used to just weigh pasta.
Yeah, that was it. Okay. No, I think maybe the weird spaghetti thing. I'm thinking of Dolan. I feel like he's
sounds like Dolan.
Dolan's definitely the man that would have a little spaghetti measurer.
Dolan would have someone to weigh it out for him.
But in other food-related anecdotes, because he did take his shirt off so much, and he hasn't stopped doing that. You did it last week, even. And I blame all of you equally, but mostly Mike.
Oh yeah, that's on the podcast. No, I want Lenny can vouch for me. That was not my idea.
Okay, when you're on the phone, they used to throw oil at him when he took his shirt off. Someone would run to get olive oil because some middle class tendencies in our house, but they would throw oil at him, and he was pretty quick. Less so now because he's crippled, but it was hard to get him, and therefore just oil everywhere all the time, constantly.
Tyler started doing that as well, so it continued after I moved out. I went to live with some other skunks, and Tyler started spraying me with coconut oil, which I liked even less because that just gets on your clothes.
Yeah, can't say we ever oiled him up. I don't think he was attacked in our house either, really, unfortunately.
No, I feel like we just played a lot of games. Like that was, it's a good house. Yeah. We played a lot of Wii games when we lived together, Mary. A lot of just like weird, like knockoff, really shitty trivia games that just had like rounds to them that were just absolutely incredible. Like the double points dance, obviously. That's an all-timer. Oh, Lenny, what did you think of the little clip that I included of you in the episode? I discovered that one recently on the Isle of Wight.
Oh yeah. I'd never seen that before. With me, Finwag in the background. What?
There's more of that to come. It's reminiscent of Ollie in season 1, his confessional with the banana.
Fantastic. Can't wait.
So that'll be making its way through a couple more. Yeah, anyone got any takes on the episode? Well, Ben isn't here if anyone wants to really trash his game. Personally, I feel like, and I'll get into my takes later, but I feel like this one isn't really on Ben, to be honest.
No.
I think a lot of people played this round terribly, and I'm keen to really argue that point in a little bit.
Do you think I played it terribly?
I mean, you didn't vote, so it's hard to really knock on you at all for this one, Lenny.
Oh, actually, yeah, I completely knew what you were doing.
Yeah,
This
no,
is my
you
question.
called it.
How did you know that?
I'd watched, so they do it a lot in Australian Survivor where they get to the vote and the host goes, well, this isn't going to be any tribal council. We're going to ruin everyone's plans and get rid of half of you. I hate it. I think it's a complete waste of time.
No, what's more a waste of time is on Australian Survivor when they do that and then no one gets voted off. Or like council and it ends in an episode where no one's voted out.
But I think it just like, I think it can really like just screw people over for no reason. Like, say it was just, I'm trying to think of a situation here where like, if you know,
I mean, in this episode, it almost fucked up Big Dog, and it should have done if they'd have played it correctly.
Yeah, I was watching it back. If I was there, I'd be in Sock and Ben's ears, being like, "Let's just vote out Big Dog. You're not going to get a better opportunity."
Yeah, this was such a miss for all.
I don't know what. And then Sock tries to get it onto Will, but he should have just gone for the dog.
I think it's only because I throw Will out there because I was just like, if I throw out Big Dog's name here, then they're all just going to go for it because it's such an obvious thing. I think had I done that, they still wouldn't have gone for him. But it's an absolute joke that Big Dog makes it through, and we'll get to it when hopefully Ben returns. But I'll be giving Big Dog a lot of credit for what happens this episode because there's no way Big Dog. We should be talking with Big Dog right now about how screwed he got by that twist, but he survived.
Yeah, that's why I don't like the twists. I mean, luckily, didn't amount to anything here. But if that was me and I was in Big Dog's position, I got voted out because of it. I would be so salty. I would not let that go.
I think it depends on when you're told. I think if you're told at the start of the round, arguably I should have done it before the challenge, and the only reason I didn't was because I forgot. But if I'd have told everyone at the start of the round, then everyone's aware that there's going to be a twist happening. Okay, I told you before the strategy, so at least you're aware. If you only find out at tribal, then that's a bit of a shafting. We start off the episode. Oh, hello.
There he is.
How's the situation, Ben?
Well, so apparently there's a problem with our electric hob where if you turn on the back left one, which is obviously the least popular one, so it's fine, but that apparently just cuts out all the power to the downstairs. So that's great.
How many people are you living with, Ben?
4 others. So I'm actually living with Ash this year. So they're in the kitchen.
Oh, I mean, if Ash wants to say hi, then feel free to get him up here.
Believe it as well. We actually had Holly and Faris over literally just a minute ago. I think they might.
No!
Oh,
actually, you know what? No, because I think if they're still here, it'd be worth getting them just to say hello. Let me try.
Yeah, all right.
I'll be back in a sec. I'll leave my camera on though.
All right, we'll get a really quick take from them on the episode.
God, I really hope I see Faris walk through that door.
I'm looking at Ben's room. He's got a sink there. The
sink is heinous. It's reminding me like what they had sinks in your bedrooms at school. Hideous, old fashioned.
Right in the middle of the wall as well.
Yeah, what is that? And you just know that they're pissing in the sink. You just know it. You just know.
Oh yeah. I mean, 100%. The game's the game at the end of the day.
Also, can I just say, to be fair, Mary accusing people earlier of being middle class, having olive oil, and then said, "Oh, and you remember when you all had sinks in your bedrooms at school?"
Okay, but this is getting cut out, so I don't care.
Leave it in.
No, this is gold. This is like Sam Sorenson's brother walking in.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Oh, there they are.
There we
go. Fantastic.
We've got Mary, who's Mike's friend from way before uni, I think.
Hi, Mary.
During uni, but it just seems like a long time ago.
Hello, Mike. Hello, Lenny. Hello, Mary.
There they are. Oh, we can't ask you for takes on the episode because you haven't seen it. Oh, it's out later tonight. Holly, Faris, do you have any takes for anything that's happened so far? You can't spoil anything because Mary doesn't know what's going to happen. But anything that's happened
I can't spoil anything.
How fast
It's all
are
very
you?
interesting, very edge of my seat. Yeah.
I've just been voted out in the most recent episode.
How many people are left?
10, I think.
There's still 10 people left. Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's still a lot of people in the end. How are you guys doing?
Doing all right.
Pretty good, thanks, Mike. Yeah, we've just been making some dinner with Ash.
How's the recruitment looking this year?
A wholly traditional recipe passed down from one generation of Sheridan to the next.
Oh yeah.
From my brand new vegetarian student cookbook.
Oh right, okay. What's the recipe? What's the meal? What's the dish?
It is leek and potato gratin.
Oh.
It's pretty good.
What is gratin?
What's gratin for Lenny's benefit and my benefit?
I don't really know what it is in general, but in this particular one, it's got leeks, peas, and mushrooms and cream sort of as a base, and then you put chunks of potato on the top, cover it in cheese, and then bake it.
That sounds lovely.
I think it's a French thing originally.
It sounds
potato gratin. Yeah. So if you look it up, you'll see what it's like, I think.
Anyway, I think we might be a bit off topic here. What was the question?
Oh, I think I asked you how Skunks was looking so far. How was it looking recruitment wise? It's only a couple of weeks in, but what are we thinking? Yay or nay?
I think we're gonna have a strong team. We could do with more super matching players, but that's kind of always the case. I think it's gonna be a good season.
This is what your third years. Was recruitment really good in there first?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was in charge, so I did a really good job.
Yeah, that was when we right. Yeah.
Yeah, got all the good people in.
Lenny, I've got a letter from you from Lachlan, which I need to deliver at some point.
Snail mail.
A letter from Lachlan that's going to you, I think.
Yes.
Oh, right, okay.
The post.
Yeah.
Faris mail takes several business months to get.
Well, I'm not travelling all the way up to Leeds to.
Well, I'll come collect it at Christmas time.
Wait, no, you've got to come down for Winchester, surely. That's before Christmas time.
I hate to break it to you, I will not be at the Winchester.
Oh, Lenny, you break my heart.
I can only apologise.
If he can't turn up to the second Monday in May social, there's no way he's coming to Winchester.
You know, it's for people like Mike that have, only just graduated.
He's not even. He hasn't had a ceremony and he hasn't done his corrections.
Well, exactly. So he's more than welcome at the Winchester social.
Yeah, the one thing I really want to do is go to Winchester for the 10th time.
Hey, you gotta make it. You gotta make it double digits.
Yeah.
Can you still technically play men's regionals, Mike? Or...
I reckon if I really stretch out, do you know what? There's just because I got
one last ride.
I've officially been given 3 months for my corrections. I hadn't actually thought about it.
That's a good window.
That's it. That's a good window right there. That's all you need.
I don't know if I'm valid. I don't know what the ruling is on that. Oh, I don't know. Have a word with Isaac for me. And,
Will do.
all right, let me know how bad the team's really looking, and then I'll just come and play for the twos. You don't need me to.
No, go on, play for the fours.
Yeah, best team.
Beat the two.
Best
Make them
team.
beat the two.
Best team.
No, because the fours are just going to be the complete chaff. There's no point. I saw Lachlan's team last year.
How dare you? Yeah,
I saw Faris's team last year. It's full of shit.
So many good male matching pressures that the fourth team is still
Actually,
as stacked as
there's a
Bath
lot of
twos
good
or something.
players. People like Leo and Theo are really going to be pushing up to the second and first teams.
Yeah.
All right. Well, in that case, I'll be on the twos.
Take them all the way to Div 1.
Yeah. All right. Okay. I won't be able to pull in Liam again. All right. I'll. Do you know what? I might actually have a little think about it, but it's very, very unlikely.
Go, Mike. Oh, it was nice seeing you guys. We gotta go back to washing up our stuff. But
enjoy your tart gratin or whatever it was called, potato.
See you two at Winchester later next month.
Say hi to Ash for us.
Will do.
Bye-bye. Like, close the door.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, that's it. Oh, we should have asked Holly about the fucking immunity challenge. Fuck's sake.
Fuck's sake.
Oh,
It's fine. I don't really care what the losers have to say.
Damn it, we should have asked Holly about this episode. What a blown opportunity.
Yeah. Also, why did she, snake me and vote for me in that final 4 people vote?
I can't believe it. We could have really put her on blast. Do you know what? This would have been great if we'd have got them on at the start, and then I could have made that hilarious joke about kicking people out of the podcast.
Yeah, true.
Oh,
You can just go back, voiceover, instead of saying whatever it was, Lucy and Strath, say Holly and Faris. Go on, do it. I dare you.
I'll see if I can figure out editing wise. It seems unlikely. If we can get them back in, I can ask them all of the questions that we want to know from Holly about why she voted you out, and then we'll be like, no, there's a twist. You guys can't answer anything. Right. Speaking of the episode, let's get into it. There's a lot to get into. Immunity challenge. Anyone got any notes there?
Pretty cut and dry. No, Divya was just good at catching and throwing. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, I thought very, very good from both Divya and Holly. Yeah, it lasted way longer than Beth and Carolina did.
I've got one question. If I was in Divya's position, my instinct would be to knife it at Holly Sheridan. Would that have been allowed within the rules?
No.
Okay.
The first story was
that ridiculous low pass was just fine.
No.
Joke.
No. Okay. Let me tell you the actual rule, because both seasons we've never fully played it properly. So I played it first at Bristol Hat, the first year they did it, so a couple of years ago, and it was essentially so we had loads of space. Obviously, we're stuck in a garden with that isn't very wide. But the whole thing was you were supposed to if the disc was going over there, you then carry the player over so that they can catch it better. So you've got a lot more leeway. I felt at the time you can slightly dip Divya down to catch that was very easily within a reach. It wasn't Divya's fault. It was the fault of Oscar and whoever else was at the front. They could have easily got to catch it. So the ones that I was saying, all right. So I made you lose a team member for that. But then the one where it was the throw was a bit too far and they couldn't physically have got there in that time, I then made the team that threw that lose it. So that's kind of the way that I see the game. I didn't explain it all the way just because you can't really move too far, but you can use a bit of common sense. If the disc is going down, you can drop them slightly so that they can catch it. Let's not be fucking idiots here. I stand by all of the decisions that were made there. Other than I feel at the start I should have just reset it rather than kicking Big Dog out straight away. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
Oh well, actually, while we're at Lenny, if your team lose, who gets voted out? Oh, it's you, Isaac, Divya, and then Strath, Oscar.
I think if we get left at the end, because it would just be the 6 of us. I think me, Isaac, and Divya are all going to vote the same way, and Lucy would vote with us. So it'd just be Strath or Oscar.
All right, fair enough. Also, shout out to Will for holding up Holly. Oh, my mum was watching this episode and she said, "Oh, he's strong." So
Will it didn't look like he even phased him. It was unbelievable.
It was incredible. It was beautiful. But also, if Divya was intentionally taking it after that a little bit slow, love and respect for that. Beautiful.
No, that's in the game rules. We didn't like that. Not happy with that.
Gamesmanship, no problem.
Yeah, it's never something that had come up before, actually, that you could just... I don't think she was... Or maybe she was playing for time a little bit. I don't know.
Should have got a stall count in there, Mike, really.
Yeah, all right. Season 3, I'll be a lot more vigilant with that kind of shit. All right, let's jump straight into strategy, unless anyone's got any final comments on that challenge.
One thing, thanks for sorting out the teams the way they were. I've never felt more blessed in my life to walk over and see Divya, who's amazing at throwing, very light, and then 3 incredibly strong men. And I was just like, well, we're going to win this one. Happy days. That's
the thing. I looked at your team and it's just oh, okay, obviously they're going to win. And then I looked at the other team and I was like, well, hang on, they got Ben and Will, and Sock not going to be a slouch in this either. Big Dog's fairly solid, but he's probably going to be the weakest of the guys. But I feel like everyone's just very athletic in the season.
It's true.
Yeah, but Isaac and Oscar are both huge men.
Yeah, I don't think there's too much in it though. I feel like everyone's pretty strong, but if I was having my first picks, I take Oscar and Strath in that round. To be fair,
but if you walked over and said a team of me, Big Dog, Sock, and Holly and Lucy as the 5, then we'd be fucked, wouldn't we?
Is the MVP in this challenge though the Divya or the Holly? Because if you have 5 strong guys, then one of them has to be the thrower. You're going to want
definitely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think everyone made it pretty clear Divya was the MVP.
I want to shout out to Holly, who did incredibly. Basically, for some context, Mary, Divya has been playing. She has been playing for years and years, but she's been playing pretty solidly for 3 years. Really good handler. Holly, at that point, essentially started as a fresher and had been playing for 1 year. Like I was expecting this to be an absolute domination, and
Yeah.
Holly did genuinely incredibly.
Well,
Bless her.
Holly's an incredible player.
Yeah, that's our influence, Lenny. All of the Chichester tournaments that we've
Yeah.
played with her.
Without that, I mean, it would have been over a lot quicker.
All right, so you lose the challenge. Well, Ben's team does, Lenny's team wins, but at this point, you're all thinking about going to Trouble Council. Who are the targets that both of you have at that point in the game? If you'd have just fully had your pick straight away, Ben, are you going for Sock?
I think I was nervous about the Big Dog Holly dinner alliance potential, but I was also, I think there were a lot of people had little things that I was worried about. So Will, obviously, I know he's quite an athletic guy. He's quite a strong competitor. He got himself back in the redemption challenge. So I'm thinking, is he going to win immunity too many times in the future for me to get him out? So maybe I get him out now. Strath as well, also looking strong. I really don't know if I'd had honestly just the kind of deciding vote and pick anyone. Yeah, I don't know. Not sure.
Also, before we get to Lenny, I want to know, back in the last round, okay, Noel suggests that all of the Blues get together and reunite to get rid of Strath. Was this something that, I mean, obviously you go for Noel. Was this something you were ever considering? And is this something that you've looked back on and been like, maybe I should have pushed harder to get all the Blues back together?
I definitely, I heard Noel. I thought about it for a second. And then I think I immediately just thought it's not going to work. Because I didn't trust Noel enough. Even if everyone had done what he'd suggested and we'd voted off Strath and then tried to vote off the Reds, I think there would have been too many things going on. Like I say, there were connections like Sock and Lucy, Holly and Big Dog. There were all sorts of kind of shifty things going on. So I didn't trust that the Blues were cohesive enough anymore. I was very much. That's why I felt so worried. That's probably why I went out. Is because I trusted our team, our tribe, the Merak from the start to stay together. And so when I realised it was all going apart, I think I was kind of reaching out for an alliance or some kind of ally to trust. But I think at that point, Noel's word means nothing to me, and yeah, I think he knows that it's not going to work, even as he suggests it. I think that's just him trying to like save his own skin for another round, pretty much, if I was being cynical.
Okay. Mary, from your perspective, watching it, I mean, I know you said that watching it back, it seemed like Noel never was going to get the numbers together, but do you think that it could have been possible for those Blues, if they'd have like maybe all realised, oh wait, hang on, if we all commit to this and we bring Will in, we can actually have all the numbers here? Do you think there was a possibility at all that that could have worked?
I was feeling like Will was feeling pretty disaffected with like Lenny and Big Dog and Isaac. That was feeling like it had hit like an all-time low because he got back and you voted him off, and I don't know, there was was there bad feelings after that, maybe?
I don't know. I'd feel bad if someone had voted me off and I came back in. So I feel like you could definitely use it, 100%.
Yeah, it seems like they've all come back in with different opinions. Like Strath is very much against people that voted him out. Lucy said that she wanted to align with them, and then Will is kind of very unclear. That's what we've seen so far. Okay, Lenny, who are you wanting to get rid of this round?
I don't know. I feel like I accomplished such a big target of mine in the last round that I feel like a lot of what I was just sort of not thinking too much about who to get out in this one and sort of just trying to see where I'm at mainly. Yeah, I was quite happy with Ben or Sock because I wasn't really allied with either. I wouldn't have had a dream person to vote off because I didn't really fully know what I was doing or what I was planning to do.
So Strath is gunning for Sock. Sock's still on his list, and Oscar's safe. So that seems to be where Strath's going. Ben, we get let's talk about Strath briefly because we get your take on him a little bit later in the round. Talk to me a little bit about his gameplay. Like, is he a good ally? Like, is he playing the game well? Like, is it frustrating to have him in the game? Like, what's going on there?
I was actually a big fan of Strath. I liked how he played the game, even as a competitor to him. I always thought he was the right mix of making moves, like trying to get people out, but also quite honest sometimes, and actually making people trust him. And he used that trust really well. So I think particularly when we voted out Noel, like I say, one of the reasons I was so gunning for Noel and wouldn't have considered voting for Strath was because I felt that I could trust Strath a whole lot more than I could trust Noel. Noel had kind of been making the same leadership role that Strath had, but he'd been far more reserved about maybe telling people as much. Strath has just always been loud, but in a good way, whereas Noel's been quiet in a bad way. So they're kind of like sort of two opposite sides of the same coin. Like they're doing the same thing, but I definitely just trusted Strath a whole lot more. He got voted out and he adapted to that. He kind of then comes back in and he's like, look, I've been voted out. Like, you guys know that you can vote me out. So I'm just going to play this trustworthy, like, I know I'm on my kind of last chance. So I'll be as good as gold. And, you know, I'm open for alliances now because he knows he's vulnerable. I think he did play it very well.
Mary, what do you think? Like, good social game by Strath, maybe, but the fact that he, after a conversation with Socky, then said that he was going to throw his vote. He was also going to throw his vote on the Billy vote. He also did throw his vote on the Noel vote, where he arguably should have been saving himself. Is this a good social game but a bad strategic game from Strath?
I don't really know. He's come back with clearly like specifically people that he's got beef with because they voted for him, but like not necessarily a very clear plan that comes across to me today, specifically this episode, not today. But it just felt like he's been a bit of a free agent. There was no direction with him. And I don't know. And I was thinking, like, would he have got any traction if he'd like come up against, like, come gunning for Will, maybe? Like, would that have gone anywhere? Like something with a bit more conviction behind it, perhaps.
Lenny, at this point, who is the better player to ally with, in your opinion? Would you rather ally with Sock or Strath, based on what we've seen?
Oh, Jesus.
Or we'll throw Ben in there as well.
Watching it back, I'd probably say Ben. I feel like I wasn't fully aware of quite how both Sock and Strath were operating, which is Sock quite frantic, I would say, and Strath, just never just randomly throw your vote away. I like I'm sorry, that's not a good thing to do. So yeah, I would have probably been more in the sort of keeping Ben in the game. I'd rather ally with him than, if I had to, than Sock or Strath. But yeah, how was I to know?
Ben, I mean, we don't really see how you react in this situation, given there wasn't too much obvious doing this on Merak. But if someone had come up to you, if Sock comes up to you in Merak and says, let's be in an alliance, like, we'll get each other's backs, we'll never vote for each other, is that something that you'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, that sounds like a great idea, let's protect each other? Or is that you being like, oh, that's kind of playing like Oscar, I don't want to do that? Would that be something you'd be open to?
That would be something that I'd be open to, but I think it would have to have happened earlier on in the game, because I think by now, well, I mean, me and Sog, particularly in that vote, were opposed to each other, and very much pitted against each other. So I think maybe, I mean, it's tricky because I think the other players in Merak I didn't trust. So if Noel had said that to me, I might have agreed to it, but then I probably would have gone back on it myself, which then probably would have meant that I wouldn't have trusted Noel with it either. If Oscar had done it, I mean, Oscar's loyal, so if he'd said it, but I mean, you saw how it worked out with Strath, that Strath tried to make a deal with Oscar and Oscar didn't want it. So I think I probably would have felt like I was in the same position, that if I'd offered it, I don't think players would have agreed to it, or I wouldn't have trusted them if they had. And then there's players who, if they offered me it, I don't think I would necessarily either honor it or trust it either. I think it was quite a like chaotic time in the game, particularly just in these last like 2-3 rounds. I think if anyone had, even maybe in the other tribe, if anyone from Ruber had come and asked and said, you know, let's not vote for each other, I think I'm not making any guarantees at this stage, and I don't think I'm trusting anyone else either.
Is then the best time to do it, Lenny, at the start of the game? Like, similar to what Noel was saying when we spoke to him the other day, similar to what we saw with you and Isaac and Big Dog in the first or second episode. Like, is it when you all have a similar level of social capital at the start of the game? No one's name's been thrown around yet. You just kind of have to make those alliances in the first couple of rounds. Is that the best place to do it, or is it better to do it when you're about to be voted off and you have nothing to lose?
I think it's better to sort of have those relationships in place because then you have people that, one, are going to stop your name getting out there. They're going to not want you out the game because you're helping them. But also, it just gives so much time to sort of build that trust, doesn't it? And then they're like, after like 7 rounds of voting, and you've all voted the same way, they're really going to feel like, you're on their team. Why would we get rid of him? Sort of thing. And it's hard to establish that level of like trust or anything after just 1 round, and it could just very much be empty words to save yourself, and you've not put any sort of action behind it. So get started early, make friends, make alliances. It's not a bad thing to do.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, speaking of making friends and alliances, I feel like one thing that I did notice from this episode was, and I think it's to do with Noel's absence from the game. It seems like we're suddenly seeing a lot more from all of the other players, like your Divias, your Lucys, your Socks, and your Wills, who we didn't really exactly know what their thoughts were over the last few episodes. Like, we didn't really know exactly where they were landing in this merge tribe. I feel like we saw a little bit more of them this episode. Mary, we find out, like, Divya tells us a bit about, like, she wants to take out all of the blues. We find out, obviously, Lucy with a load of, like, she's clearly got something going on with Sock in this episode. It seems like she is going to stick true to this alliance. What do we think about all of this gameplay that we previously not aware of?
I mean, first of all, clearly, and I wrote this down, you can't Divya, she beats Ruba today. It was interesting to hear more from people that have been a bit quieter, maybe have been sort of shut out of the strategizing a little bit. I'm interested to see where Sock and Lucy take that. Because as you say, Sock has been unpredictable. So it's unclear how invested that he is in that relative to how invested she is, potentially. One thing I saw Holly coming a little bit for Lucy and then by extension Divya. It's unhappy to see that. I don't love it.
Was there any of those players that you were particularly impressed with?
I think it was mainly Divya and like really pushing to Oscar, I think, to vote with them. And that was pretty good. I like that.
Yeah, as we were saying earlier about Oscar being a good ally, is like Divya is saying that she wants to keep him in the game because he's loyal. Is Divya now the person that Oscar can join?
Big Dog would probably be quite good for Oscar. Everyone's going to Big Dog at the moment, aren't they? That's what Oscar likes. But I think, if Divya went up to Oscar and told him that, I feel like Oscar's looking for that right now. So I feel like he'd absolutely jump on board. I don't think she's properly made that offer to him.
Be more obvious. If you want to team with someone, make sure they know about it. I think that's a valuable lesson from the episode. I'm keen to go around everyone. If Strath comes to you and says, I've been gunning for you for rounds at a time, but if you vote for Will this round, then I'll forget about it. Do you shake his hand or not?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mary?
I think that with how much Will has been wavering on you guys a little bit, to me, yeah, without a doubt.
I'm amazed that he didn't go with it. Like the round before, Oscar was saying, Strath, let's work together. And like, it seems like Will's not going to get voted out anyway, as far as Oscar knows. Like, why not just make the deal?
Yeah, in Oscar's point of view, he doesn't really have anything to lose. So yeah, bit silly on his part.
And also, based on the way the episode shook out, he then has sort of plausible deniability. He can be like, I shook your hand. I would have voted for Will. I think he can get out of it.
I think Strath would have made him do something else the next round. I don't think Oscar would have got away with that.
Lenny, let's talk about the safety without power, which we haven't mentioned yet. That comes into factor this episode. So Lucy getting hold of it after Billy leaves, he gives it to her. Now it gets passed to Sock. What do we think about that?
Well, I mean that's a clear alliance there. The point you're passing your advantages over, you better fucking hope you're in an alliance with that person, otherwise they've really swindled you. So I'm assuming they are very much in cahoots at this point. I wouldn't do that. I would not. If I had an advantage, I don't think I'd ever. Doesn't matter how much I trust at the time. I don't think I'd give it to someone else.
But if it's like your number one ally and they're about to go into this tribal council, let's say you're aware that they're about to have a 1 in 5 shot of going home and it's basically a 50-50.
I don't know. I feel like in my mind, it was still pretty overwhelmingly Ben. So if it was me and Sock in that situation, I wouldn't tell him about it.
And we can get to whether it was a good decision or not for him to play it, because I did look in the urn. So I do know what would have happened had Sock not played it. So we'll get to that.
Leaving us in suspense.
Oh, Big Dog's strategy this round. I want to talk about Big Dog and I want to talk about Lucy. What do we think of Big Dog? Hilarious?
Fucking riotously hilarious. I think he was trying a bit of Strath's like radical honesty this round, and I enjoyed it very much. It was beautiful. He said Ben quite loudly, and I thought that was the kind of thing that I personally have been known to do. So Big Dog, deeply relatable king for that.
Is this
Sorry,
is this good gameplay or is it terrible gameplay? Like it seems like he told Noel last round he's voting him off. He said to Ben this round that he was going to be voting for him. Like, but everyone's going along with it, and he seems to still be the guy that everyone's doing everything through.
That's just the effect he has. I don't think anyone else could get away with that right now, but Big Dog can, so he is.
Yeah.
You've got to respect it, really.
Ben, how does it feel at the time to be someone that Big Dog's so openly saying, "Oh, I'm going to go for you"? Like, what are you supposed to do there?
Oh, I think it's like a black spot on your back. You know, you're marked for death at that point. If Big Dog is willing to openly admit you're gone, you're gone. I think maybe I could have spun it and gone, well, Big Dog, if you're so confident, you know, I'm going to vote for you and I'm going to try and get everyone to vote for you. But was he immune that round?
No.
So there we go. I could have tried to convince everyone to vote for him, but I think,
to be fair, you do vote for him.
Yeah, but it's that perfect, like, he's too easy to vote off, so people won't vote him off yet, but he can just say what he likes, and whatever he says he's going to do. And yeah, I mean, it kind of works because he just basically is following some stronger people. Like he's sort of allianced with the rest of the Reds, so they sort of make the decision for him, I think. I don't think it was him particularly, you know, making a decision to vote for me. I think he'd heard other people say it and was just kind of going along with it. So he knows that he has safety because other people are behind him or in front of him. I don't know.
Is that how it seemed at the time? Like, because from the episode, it seems like Big Dog's calling a lot of these shots in the Red tribe. Did it just kind of seem like Big Dog was just one of many Reds that would just be voting together?
Yeah, I think it felt like he was kind of just the voice of the Reds. You know, you wouldn't get a straight answer from Lucy or Isaac about who they were voting for, or Adivia. But if Big Dog was telling you, I'm voting for you, that would probably mean the rest of the Reds have been discussing it at least and are probably leaning that way as well.
I'd say generally from inside the Alliance, I think Big Dog was probably the main shot caller.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'd say his thought probably meant the most, I reckon.
I mean, we see that a bit this episode because Will's trying to get out Sock, and I think this is, first of all, I think there was a lot of terrible decisions made this episode, Ben. I'm of the opinion that when I said earlier you shouldn't have been out this episode, that wasn't because I thought you should have been out 2 episodes ago. Like, that you should not have been voted off this episode if people had played it correctly. Like, it was a terrible decision that got made at Tribal Council. First of all, they messed up by voting for you over Sock, because I agree with Will. I think the fact that you're in the game, you don't have any allegiances to anyone, you don't have any alliances, whereas Sock does. So it therefore makes sense for everyone that isn't Lucy and maybe Divya to be like, all right, well, Sock's the bigger threat, let's get rid of him. So I think there's the mistake there, and then we'll get to what happens at Tribal later on. But it's Big Dog then that's the main voice being like, no, it's not going to be Sock, it's going to be Ben. That's what it seemed like to me. Is that how it felt to you, Lenny?
Yeah, I'd say so. I probably would have just gone whichever way they had decided.
Mary, if you're in the game, you're picking between Sock and Ben, who would you rather have based on what you've seen so far?
I think you've got to get rid of Sock, but I don't know. Are people underestimating him because they don't view him as that strategic? They view him as a bit like an agent of chaos. Like, they don't think he's got a plan. Is that what it is? On the other hand, his main ally, Noel, has just been booted. And if they don't know that he's in that tight with Lucy, like, what other strong ties has he got going on right now?
I will say I've not at any point in this game viewed Sock as any kind of threat.
Yeah, I want to give Lucy a big shout out for this round. I think she played this round extremely well. I think she got screwed in the sense that, like, she's obviously with Sock in this alliance, and she also had this deal with Ben. So I think were she to vote, she would have just voted for someone random. I don't think she was voting for you, Ben, but I think she did know that the votes were going to be on you. I think, yeah, it was a mistake to give up that safety with that power advantage, but You know, we talked about it when Noel played his idol earlier on. Like, it's probably better to play it than go home with it. Like we saw happen to TG Robbo
again. But I love the TG Robbo mention from Sock. Really made me laugh.
Tribal Council. A couple of things I noticed. Oh, Lucy communicating with Sock. It felt like there wasn't really a message that got past at the time. I think she was trying to convey whether he should or shouldn't play the safety of that power. Did anyone pick up anything on that? I don't think it got across.
I could see Lucy trying to communicate with Sock, but I think Sock was totally oblivious. I don't think anything was effectively communicated.
Also, I will say, there's a great one. I cut this out just because like it was kind of unnecessary and just like a lot of filler. But when Strack is offering that deal to Oscar, he stands there like that for I'd say about 1 or 2 minutes with Oscar kind of mulling it over, and then Isaac walks up and he's just kind of looking, just like, "You guys are right," and Strack's like, "Yeah, Oscar's just thinking over a deal." Obviously didn't say it with that ridiculous accent. Just like, "Yeah, Oscar's just thinking over a deal." His hand's still out there, and then I think Sock wanders over as well after like another minute. Isaac's just stood there looking, and he's just like, "What's this deal?" And then Strack's like, "Yeah, Oscar's just waiting to find out." And then like he's literally like that for like 2 minutes. Yeah. So the next note I've got is I then kick out all of the immune players. Lenny, how did that feel at the time?
Well, one, there was slight happiness because I was right. I predicted it. But at the same time, fuming. Absolutely fuming. What a joke. Like, what is the point in me strategizing for 15 minutes for then just to be told, "Oh, you can't actually vote"? It's ridiculous. What if the 6 people that wanted, if it was 6-5 or like a 6-4 vote or something, and all, like 5 of the people on one side, they all get taken out of the room, and then suddenly the other thing happens.
What makes the game so exciting? But there's nothing to stop you handing your immunity necklace to someone.
Well, I'm not going to do that. I'm not an idiot.
Lenny, who would have been voted out had the remaining 6 of you been in the room?
Well, yeah, obviously it wouldn't have changed anything.
So, well, I mean, Lenny, was any of this exciting or new for you watching back that fight, that 5-player tribal council?
Well, the main thought I had was when I was watching back was, why don't you guys go for Big Dog here? Well, I didn't really register at the time, but yeah, sat in that room. Ben and Sock definitely could have teamed up and tried to just get Will to vote with them on Big Dog.
Is that who I voted for in the end?
You did.
Yeah. So I remember distinctly being in that room, having that realization, looking at Holly, looking at Sock, kind of trying to make eyes with them, communicate without saying anything, and just go like, let's vote for him. And then when Sock like tried to say, "Let's all vote for Will," it felt like everything had gone wrong when it could have gone right. Like if I had spoken up and said, "Let's all vote Big Dog," that would have been what was needed. Again, another case of if you're thinking something, say it. But yeah, I felt like I was saved when everyone who I thought was going to vote for me left. And then, yeah, I saw these people who were like, "Oh, okay, well, maybe I can convince them." But it was so fraught with tension. Like, I think Sock thought I was going to vote for him. I think I was very worried that Sock would vote for me. Holly probably didn't want to vote for Big Dog after their dinner. Like, there was so much going on just in that room. Will probably didn't have any idea about like me and Holly being allied, or the kind of the distrust between me and Sock. So he was just probably trying to not stick his neck out and then get caught up. It was crazy. That was like of all the rounds to go on. I think I'm glad that I got to be in the middle of that shitstorm.
I have a question, right? Hypothetically, after Sock's gone, there's 4 of you, right? So say it does get split and Holly does vote with Ben, votes for Big Dog. Then it comes back again, right? You got to vote a second time. That's how this works, I think, right?
Yeah, it's a bit dicey with 4 players, but we probably would have done.
Do you think that Will flips? Genuinely, do you reckon he would?
What if Holly and Ben vote together?
Yeah,
I think it's more likely that Will votes with Ben than Holly does, but I don't know.
I think if Holly and I had both voted Big Dog and Big Dog and Will had voted for me, I think that would have been the thing that makes Will realize, oh, he can get rid of Big Dog. And I think that's what I was thinking. Is I think off camera, me and Holly did literally speak for like 5 seconds, and the kind of we discussed a lot. I think it was literally like I was saying, okay, let's vote Big Dog. She was like, but what if it's a draw? And I was like, yeah, but if it's a draw, then we vote Big Dog again, and Will's with us. And so when I was going down to write my vote, literally putting down Big Dog, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking, okay, Holly's going to vote Big Dog. It's going to be a draw, and then it's going to go to another one, and Will's going to vote with us, and Big Dog will be out. So I had a bit of hope there for a moment. But Holly,
that would have been exciting. That would have been
classy, yeah. But after that, I was very upset with Holly. I remember distinctly for a week I couldn't talk to her. Really messed with my security and trust in friendships in general.
That's just who Holly Sheridan is.
Yeah, you know, don't hate the player, hate the game.
Oh, and right now, Ben, she's in your house probably, eating in your kitchen.
Yeah.
It's an absolute joke. With another player that she would have had no qualms with voting out had Faris made the merge. It's an absolute joke. I really want to shout out Big Dog this episode because I think it was in four players' best interests to vote him out, and at the end of the day, only Ben did, and that was on a revote. I think 100% Big Dog should have been voted off here, and we would have been talking about how badly he got screwed over and how unfortunate it was.
I really would have been complaining about your twist.
Yeah, that would have gone down in history. But
I'd have Big Dog sat at the bottom left of the screen also complaining.
Yeah, well, that's why I didn't want to grill him particularly hard in that moment because I was just like, it would screw him over so much. But this is like the obvious play, right? Like this is like I can't sit here and be like, why are you guys not all voting for Big Dog? Because like that would just I didn't want to completely blow up his spot. Instead, I said why not vote for Will or something like that, which then kind of screwed Will. So sorry, Will. But it seemed crazy to me because I kept being like, does anyone want to say anything? Because I was just like, surely like Ben or one of them will want to throw out a pitch just like, you know, Holly with the Blues, work with us. We take out Big Dog. Like it seemed insane to me that no one was really going for it. And then Stock did at the end, but this was like on like the third time I was just like, if anyone wants to say anything, because I think at the time Ben, you and Stock were both thinking it's one of us. How can we save ourselves? Lenny, can you talk about sort of what a good job Big Dog did here? Because like he managed to pull in Holly. He voted Will out. Holly didn't start on his tribe. Like Sock played an advantage this episode. Like
he's just in control, isn't he? Needs to be studied. The hold he has over the game right now. He can do whatever he wants.
Mary, would you say that this Big Dog is a different player than was in Survivor Southampton season 1?
Based on the frame of the question, I would say yes. Can I say that this was in a time before you were reading me like the Quiz and Curry recap every week, and I therefore like didn't know who any of these people were. But now I've had it in the phone, like, you know, so and so, which is why Lenny is like a mythical proportions to me, right? And as is Big Dog, really, because Big Dog, you know, obviously every week Big Dog's there. And so before that, I didn't know who anyone was, and therefore it wasn't really like there was no like connection to it. I didn't know what was going on, and therefore I never watched the rest of it. And also, you weren't as good at editing back then. Sorry.
Yeah, the season 1 edit. I watched back some of it the other day, and I stand by it. But the editing it's improved a bit in season 2.
You've come a long way.
Yeah.
I think, the ability to be able to change the sound on the audio is definitely improved it a lot.
I feel like the upgrade of laptop probably helps you a bit as well.
Not really, actually. You'd be
Did it not make it quicker? Or?
No, the software's still as shit as it was. I think it just, after the video reaches a certain length and it's got enough like text and cuts in it and stuff, it just gets really slow and crashes constantly. Lenny, for Mary's benefit, give a quick summary of Big Dog's season 1 game.
Incredibly timid, too shy to talk to anyone, voted out second round. Disaster, really. We'd hyped up Big Dog to our friends TG Robbo and Max, who hadn't met him really at the time, and they came away from that day going, "Yeah, why are you guys so obsessed with Big Dog?"
So you're saying he's come back new and improved, hey?
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Nice.
Well, I mean,
a year's worth of momentum behind him.
Apart from the game of Ninja, where he just appeared to throw, where that was like him from season 1 all over again, I thought.
Yeah, I do want to ask him why he was so bad at Ninja, like embarrassingly bad.
We'll have to get him on if he eventually gets his torch snuffed or eventually makes it to the end. We'll save that one for him. Oh, one thing I've been desperate to ask you, Ben, I want to make sure I do. How much stress would you say that your heart goes through in a week?
On an average week, it's not that much. I'd say if there's something big that I'm building up to, maybe an exam, maybe a big weekend tournament for Skunks,
Okay.
maybe something like a game show. If there's something like that coming up, I just put a lot of pressure on myself. I think I don't sleep too well, and I get quite in my own head. Can be stressed about exams or tournaments or stuff. So yeah,
Okay.
when I said that, I was just struggling because I didn't want to be like the last year, because that's a crazy amount of time. I didn't want to be like the last day because I didn't have a stressful yesterday. I was just looking for a medium length of time. That's all.
Okay, that makes sense. So if your heart goes through some stress just at the anticipation of the game, that seems like all right, a good amount of stress there. Let's quickly talk about each of the players. Let's start with Holly. Lenny, take me through why the pros and cons of this decision for Holly.
I feel like maybe Holly feels like Big Dog's maybe her biggest ally at this point. I can see why, and it makes sense. I feel like Big Dog really trusts Holly as well. So I don't think it's as bad for Holly to stick with Big Dog, because I feel like they really are on the same team.
Ben, talk us through Sock here.
Yeah, I think Sock made the wrong decision. I think from mine and Sock's perspective, it would benefit us both if when it's down to that final 5 or 4, if we vote out Big Dog. I definitely think we were too caught up in it being a competition between each other. I think we'd been pitted against each other. Sock's name had come up before in votes. My name had come up before in votes. We felt like it was just sort of two-horse race, and it was only between us. I think we really should have taken a moment to take stock and kind of think, actually, this is our way to change the future of the game. There's a lot that can happen now that Big Dog has sort of knocked me out. I think he makes it easier. Big Dog has made it easier for himself to clear the rest of the Blues out, and it's shaping up maybe for Lucy eventually to stab Sock in the back. Divya looks like she's quite comfortable with Chris voting more people out. It looks like the Reds are in a much more powerful position now. Actually, I think I do remember that being what I was actually worried about happening when it was just the 5 of us. I think multiple scenarios were going through my head of like, there's a way to draw even if there's 5 of us. Like if Will and Chris vote for me and then me and Sock vote for Big Dog, it's going to be Holly who then either has a deciding vote, or if she then votes for Sock, then it gets crazy complicated. So I can see why sort of people maybe went for a default option of voting for me, which I guess, I don't know, maybe that reinforces it was just a race between me and Sock. And so Sock voted the right way. Selfishly, I'd argue Sock should have voted for Big Dog.
Mary, talk us through Will's perspective here and what you think he should have done.
Selfishly, I would have really enjoyed seeing him turn on Big Dog. It's just the culmination of like him just being, I feel like, less and less tight with you guys. Would have been beautiful, would have been stunning. But I don't know, like, because obviously it looks to me from the outside as if like maybe he's sort of dropping down the pecking order in terms of like who Big Dog is like looking to. But I don't know if that's what it felt like to him at the time.
Clearly not. Mary, who is it then on in this situation to throw out the pitch? I think it was a big opportunity that they lost by letting Ben go here and keeping Big Dog. But which of them should have been like, guys, we finally got a shot of Big Dog. It benefits all of us to take him out. All of his allies are upstairs in Lenny's room. Who should have been the one to say that? Did Ben or Sock have the capital there? Should that have been a Will to take that initiative?
If Will says it definitely happens, I think, because Ben and Sock would jump on that straight away. But I don't know if Ben or Sock had said it, that Will would have jumped on it the same way. But I think if Will popped up with that idea and asked Ben and Sock, I don't see why they wouldn't just do it.
But is that too much risk? Because I can easily see a player like Sock being like, let's still vote out Will then. Like I can easily see that happening.
Well, true. Yeah. Maybe that's why they just didn't want to risk it. I feel like Will would have felt safe. I feel like if I was in Ben's position, I'd probably give it a go, just because you feel like you're going home, especially after Sock goes, yeah, I feel like you have to passionately go for someone else.
I think no, but maybe you're right. It should have happened earlier. I think the problem was I was not in a cool, calm state of mind to make a tactical decision. It was very much like it felt like it was sort of like a four-way Mexican standoff between me, Sock, Big Dog, and Will. I mean, yeah, Holly sort of kept herself out of it, but I didn't feel like I had enough. Like I was, yeah, like I said, I was thinking of all the different voting combinations, and maybe if I'd had like another 5 minutes to stop, think, and then maybe discuss with Sock, it would have been, I would have realized actually, yeah, if we can commit to voting Big Dog out, it'll be so much better. But yeah, I think you're right. It was my sort of, it should have been my voice that was screaming loudest for it. So the fact that it wasn't then is kind of my own downfall.
I think it depends on, Ben, whether you thought you were about to be voted off. Because if you did, then you may as well do it. But if you think there's still a chance that they could be going for Sock here, am I blowing it by being the one to throw it out there? Because then it will flip on me. My opinion now is that how all three of you were maybe feeling with Will being in that as well?
I think, yeah, no, I think that's right. I think that is exactly what was going through all of our minds, is that we were all hoping that the others would vote majority, not us. And yeah, exactly. So we were just, none of us wanted to be the one to say anything in case that meant it turns.
Shall we have a look at the votes and see if Sock actually did save himself by playing his safety without power or not? Because I did go back afterwards, and it took me a little while to actually find out whether he would have been voted out or not. So these are our votes for episode 12. So we see that there's only 5 players voting. So we see it goes 3-1 against Ben in the end. However, we see that actually would have been a 2-2-1. So Big Dog and Will, I believe, both voted for Ben in the first vote. You have Sock and Ben voting together against Will, and Holly is the only vote on Sock. So it's actually a 2-2-1 with Ben leaving on the revote. So Sock did play it unnecessarily in the end.
That's crazy. I would not have guessed that's what happened. But
Ben, you're a bit scuppered either way. I think still a bad play from them to vote you over Sock, and an even worse play from everyone to vote out you over Big Dog. Mary, how was it just watching, not knowing?
Oh, it was extremely tense. I was struggling with it, but I think, as you say, I get why you were nervous to say anything, Ben, but I think it would have been obviously a ballsy play, but like had you connected with that, the swing, sports metaphors, it would have been epic, man. It would have been heroic. I would have cried with joy. It would have been really, really, Lenny would have hated it, obviously, but it would have been beautiful television.
Oh, well, before we get to the episode titles, should we eulogize Ben a little bit here? Lenny, what do you think of what you saw from Ben this season?
Yeah, he was a bit unlucky. I think speaking to him here, he clearly had the thoughts in his head, but I think you maybe just you didn't get those plans out there. But you gave fantastic confessionals, I will say. An absolute joy to watch. It's sad to see you go.
Yeah, definitely. I co-sign it on the confessionals. You gave me a lot of joy editing it back. It's not always the case, but yeah, every round you were able to make it very obvious your thoughts and feelings as it was going on. There was a great moment where I think you have a conversation with Noel, and then it cuts straight to a confession of you being like, yeah, I think I accidentally told Noel I was voting for him. I definitely made a mistake there. Yeah, so it's I think it's great to have players that are able to narrate this season. It makes my job so much easier. So thank you very much for that, and thank you for the good confessionals. I think we saw
that actual episode and that whole segment to my parents and to my housemates, I think, and they all loved it.
Yeah, I think we definitely saw some moments of really good strategy, especially in the round where Max goes, where you and Holly and Billy finally get it together right at the end of that Merak tribe, where you get Noel, Sock and Oscar to vote against their best interest there. They definitely should have kept Max in the game there. So that was very good from you. I think, yeah, getting into the merge, you were, I think, just not winning that first immunity challenge. I think there was a lot of momentum behind your name anyway, just from your pre-merge game. I think not winning immunity there screwed you over a lot. It made it very easy for people to try and get you out. You would have gone that round. I think you should have tried to push a bit harder. However, it was a complete mistake for them to vote you off this round. Like, it was terrible strategy by the Hollies and the Wills and the the Socks of the game to let you go. Also, bad strategy by everyone to let you go over Sock. At the point at which you were voted out, Ben, who did you think the next two people would be to be following you out of the door?
I think I thought people would realize Holly would have had to have voted against me, and therefore would have gone, oh, maybe she's not that trustworthy, and she's now only allied with Big Dog. Vote her off. So I thought maybe she was going to go next. So people were so tired of Sock, and it's kind of like one of those Noel things where people keep saying, we're going to vote him out, we'll get him out, it doesn't matter, we'll vote him out. And then people at some point finally go, right, this is the cutoff. It's a joke having him in the game still. We're voting him. So yeah, I think maybe I thought Holly and then Sock, but I have to say, we'll go back to it. I thought Oscar should be gone next, because without Noel, that man is nothing. He should be gone. Yeah, honestly, if he doesn't find someone to hide behind next, I want to see Oscar gone.
Okay. Shall we quickly review a couple of potential episode titles? I don't know if any of you found any particularly good quotes as you were reviewing the episode.
Sock talking about, he said something like, you like asked him if he's quietly confident, and he's just like, he said something confident. No, I'm not confident. And that really made me like, I can't remember the exact wording, but
there was a whole thing of him just rambling, getting decreasingly confident. And then he was just like, I'm crumbling under the pressure. Yeah, that was a great moment at Tribal Council. The ones I had, there was Snake in the Ruber, which when it flew a bit under the radar from Will, that was about Lenny right at the start of the strategy session. That was very funny. There was Lucy saying to Sock, can you try and be a bit more subtle when she's passing him the safety without power? There's Oscar talking about giving Strath a private confessional, which amused me a lot at the time. And then there's Will saying that he had no remorse in lying to Strath about whether he voted for him. Oh yeah, we didn't really talk about that. Well, shout out Will, good gameplay. Don't tell someone that you voted for them. That's a good thing to do. But yeah, the Big Dog, we've had words. It seemed so like key as a moment in the episode where it was just like, me and Holly are going to vote together. It's been decided. It's not changing kind of thing. That's why that one ended up as it. Fan Corner, Ben and Mary, I don't know how many of these that you've seen, but Fan Corner is typically every week. I take to the streets and find out what has been said about the week's episodes. As predicted, Will is feeling a bit burnt here with Noel gone seconds after they formed an alliance. Oh, yeah. Oh, hey, we've been talking about Oscar a lot, but poor Will. He finally had his feet under him and then it's been taken out.
Also, right at the beginning of the episode, there was a confessional from him feeling a little bit sad, immediately followed by jubilant, triumphant Lenny. And that was a really
that was a wonderful confessional, Lenny.
Thank you.
Just lie on me. Has that had much success as a pickup line, Lenny?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, to work.
I'd argue, there's one for you, Ben. I'd argue that little "Hi Lucy" has exponentially more game. There we go. A lot of people very impressed at Will being able to carry Holly. Not just my mum, other people out there. So shout out Will. Do you know what? It's nice to see Will having a good episode. He gets into a lot of trouble in these.
Well, yeah.
I mean, we have suggested that he made a terrible decision by keeping Big Dog in the game, but otherwise good. Oh, I've got my own demons could have been a good episode title, apparently. So
I like that. Yeah.
Was that Strath?
Who says that?
Strath.
It's balls. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I feel like he'll probably say it again next episode as well. So
Yeah.
I'll get it in there instead. Lenny. Oh yes, Lenny giving it a little bit of. We're still friends though, right? With Big Dog and Divya. I forgot about that.
Just had to check.
Was this you basically gauging, do I need to try and turn on these people?
Yeah, I just wanted to see, what their reactions to that would be.
Where do I stand in this alliance, guys?
Basically, it's good to like know, really. And I mean, even if they lie to you, let's be honest, Big Dog and Divya are not great at lying. So
yeah, 100%. If anyone ever asks you if you're still good, yes is the answer, regardless of how good you are.
Yeah. So I was just seeing if there was any sort of faltering on that.
Interesting strategy to boldly claim you don't back yourself in a jury vote. Yeah. Is it too early for Sock to go around saying he's not going to have any jury votes when Noel is the only member at this point on the jury?
Yeah, there's more than one member at the end, Sock.
And he said it a lot to different people.
I was a lot of Sock's difficulties this episode stemmed from him just constantly forgetting who he voted for in the last episode, or I think he just kept misspeaking. He was saying he voted for Noel, then he was saying he voted for Strath. So like, I don't think Will was even lying when he went and snitched on him to Strath, because Sock had told him that he'd voted for Strath when he hadn't for no reason. So I'm really looking forward to when we inevitably, and please let him come on, Sock. We've got so many questions for you here. Oh, people are finding it very funny, the height disparity between you and Divya, Lenny. There was another moment this round, I think, where like Oscar was chatting to like Isaac or someone, and I think Isaac was stood in the hole, so it made him look tiny. That was funny. Yeah, Lenny, what do you think about Strath just not trusting you?
I do. Yeah. I was literally maybe the most on his side.
The loudest voice to get rid of Noel, and he's not trusting you at all.
Yeah, bit of a shame.
Oh yeah, what do we think about Sock chatting to Divya and Big Dog, and Sock's just like, if you guys keep me in the game, I'll remember it, and Divya's just like, yeah, how will you remember it? For all the fans wondering who that was getting hit in the nuts in that frisbee clip, that was Strath catching a pull and then pelting it into Max Beline's crotch. So that was Max there. Oh, apparently I hyped the twist up a lot and then gave it zero dramatic flair at Tribal. All right, well,
that one's true.
Yeah, that sounds like you as the host, to be fair.
Yeah, people confused about the vote. I think you got a bit shafted this round, Ben. You got away with it a couple of rounds ago, so maybe this was just Final Destination for you. But I think you were done a bit dirty this round. Now, Ben, you are our second juror in Survivor Southampton Season 2. What are you looking for that you will vote to win?
On the jury, I would like to see people, make alliances and break them. I want to see people who forge ahead and try and get people on their side, win people over, make convincing arguments, and then next round turn and make them the target of all the attention. I want to see people who survive by doing things, saying things, and maybe they make themselves a target, but they just somehow get through. I love the tension. I want someone to entertain me. Yeah, exactly. I want to see someone get through who I didn't think probably would make it.
All right, well, finally, Ben, who are you rooting for at this point that you've been voted off? Who do you want to win?
Well, I absolutely I'm holding a grudge against Sock and Holly. Can't think of them. Can't even dream of them winning. Oscar is obviously out of the question as well. Those are three people who I do not want to see get into the final four, let alone win.
That's pretty much all of your former tribe mates.
Yeah, it went from good to bad. It flipped.
This is the problem with Merak. This is the problem with that tribe.
I was so loyal to them still, even at that stage, and I think maybe I was the last true Merak supporter. Everyone else had all abandoned hope, and I, in my final round, was still holding out that Merak would vote out Ruba. But I think maybe, I've lost confidence in all of Merak. I think at that point I want Lucy to win because she really influenced the vote where I go out. So I think it's on her to take it and to root out the others and go all the way.
Finally, Ben, have you recovered from your cold that you had during the season?
I have, yeah. I'm so sorry. One of the things I didn't want to mention in case everyone else had overlooked it, but I know how much I'm sniffling. I think it was hay fever as well, to be honest, because I think I did take a hay fever pill in the morning, and I think I knew that it was going to be like a quite a bad pollen day or two, but I didn't realize quite how much I had sniffed and just was making so much noise all the time. Yeah, it's so bad.
Ben, did you have any final thoughts on the game? Anything you wanted to put out there?
I've loved watching it all, honestly. I forgot various moments of it, and it's hilarious to go back and see all of the agonizing mistakes that everyone made, but especially me. I just got to say, all the things that I've done wrong. It's agony to watch, but it's brilliant editing. I love it.
So, Mary, now you've had the pleasure of meeting some of your heroes. Three of the standout players or / hosts of Survivor Southampton Season 2. Potentially looks at me and Lenny on the podcast. You've heard us cutting up this season. Would you say that you're perception of Ben is different now, meeting him in real life versus watching him a television edited version of him a year ago?
Yeah, definitely. Because I mean, hearing some of the other comments and maybe just watching, definitely, I think it's easy to like find someone that you'll hate watching on TV, like just purely because it's like fun and it's not really based on anything. Just being a hater is kind of enjoyable. But then you can't do that to someone's face unless you're really like harsh and awful. And I'm only a little bit harsh and awful. So yeah, it was a really fun time and it was very interesting. So thank you.
Who would you have, because obviously we were aware that you were going to be a guest this week. You did not know who would be joining you on this podcast. I
didn't until about 20 minutes before.
Who were you hoping for, bearing in mind that, it does mean they're out of the game?
Oh, who would I want to meet? Who would I want to meet and like have jokes with? Just
who would you want to be chatting shit on the podcast with, like we did with Ben?
Chat shit with, I think Will be funny. Because realistically, I want to meet Strath, I want to meet Sock, but I don't want either of them to get knocked out, really, because I think I'd enjoy watching them on TV more. So yeah, I think Will would have some salty little things to say, I reckon, which I'd appreciate.
Yeah, you got to imagine, like, if ever / whenever Will is voted off, he's going to be very upset at whoever takes the shot.
That's going to be the most brutal exit interview. Who do I want to win, Lucy? Who do I think is going to win? I have no idea. The thing is, the best position right now is Big Dog. I don't know if the Big Dog has done it so slowly that people haven't noticed, but it's like Ivy. It's covering everything. It's been really interesting because it's happened sort of without me noticing.
Lenny and I eulogised Ben. Would you like to add any final words as we close the lid on Ben's coffin in season 2?
Yeah, I think it was very nice, as you say, to meet him in person, and I think I think I've warmed up to him, like on the show on the back of that, because I didn't really rate him strategically before. It was sort of like, to me, it was a little bit kind of a background because I wasn't really paying that close attention, basically, to anyone in Merak for a long time. Sorry, Strath. So yeah, that was very interesting. I think it would have been really epic if he could have like made a different swing, obviously, at the vote. And it's sad that sad that it didn't go that way, because it would have been good for him. And potentially he could have made like quite a big swing with everyone else on the back of that. Maybe that would have carried him away. And so it's sad that we didn't get to see that happen. Not sad for Big Dog, obviously.
We often ask people who they think the 2 next boots are going to be. Who are the next 2 people out?
I think Strath hasn't really got any strong alliances, so he's vulnerable. And I don't think necessarily that he's that tightly in with Big Dog just yet. Maybe he's been quite friendly with Lenny, but I don't know. I haven't seen him like be that close to Big Dog so far. So maybe Strath is in trouble. I'd also be probably, as you say, pretty worried about Oscar. Unless Oscar attaches himself to somebody pretty quick, I don't really know where he stands without that. And he'd probably be in quite a vulnerable position.
All right. Well, my final question to you, Mary. Yeah. Who is your predicted final 2?
I want it to be Lenny and Strath, but that's just like what my heart desires.
Okay.
I think that would be funny and it would be interesting. There are a lot of people I'm rooting for, even though I know only one of them is going to win. So it's going to be a hard watch. Anyway,
so that's your prediction. You've put your thumb on the scale, Lenny and Strath. That's what you.
Well, no, because earlier I said Lucy, so really I'm not committed to anyone. I'm just on.
Now is the time to commit.
I'm manifesting. I want it to be Lenny and Strath.
Okay.
That's just what I want. That's just no idea what's going to happen, but that's what I want.
All right. Well, we'll put it out there. Fingers crossed for Lenny and Strath for the future episodes. Yeah. And fingers crossed for Oscar and Strath. Well, fingers crossed for Oscar and Strath, who you think might also be in danger.
Strath, both ways. Yeah. I'm worried. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Well, thank you very much for joining me. Bye, everyone.